there's the camera. Hello there, Vlad here. Welcome to CatPick Fridays episode 11. And today, I'm once again joined by the man who Poo Ninja labeled the man who makes every conversation richer, Richard Morgan. Welcome to the show.
Wow, what a beautiful intro. Thank you very much. I feel like this is my second interview. You know, like when you go for a new job, you do one round and they're like, oh, you're pretty good. You can come back and try again. So that's what I'm doing now. Who knows?
Well, you made it to the second round. Congratulations. You guys went late yesterday. How are you feeling? Like on the Blue Guitar live stream, that is. You guys went late. We finished at I think 10:15 local time with the stream, and then the stream stops, but then you have to take some things down and sort of look over stuff and chat about it a little bit. And then it takes me nearly an hour to drive home. So it was a late night last night, but if you guys are interested, watch the Blue Guitar Academy of Tone number 51. It was a whole lot of fun. And we almost blew up 2 amps. Oh, really? I need to watch that.
Yeah, we destroyed one, but not the other.
That's a good ad for the show. I want to check it now. I was, I think I was just sitting on my couch yesterday and browsing YouTube, and I checked it out a little bit. I saw Thomas opening up a cabinet, I think, or something like that. Looked fun.
Yeah, he did that as well last night. And what we were doing was we had the blue box, the virtual cab sim box, and we were showing the difference between recording with a load, with a reactive load, and with a dummy load. And Thomas had this kind of homemade reactive load thing, which had just been made in the offices at Blue Guitar, and that blew up an amp once. So go watch it.
Yeah, links below in the description, both on the podcast platform and multiple platforms, and YouTube as well. And I quickly have to mention that if you enjoy the show, please consider hitting the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet but enjoy the show, again, please hit subscribe button as well. That helps to grow the channel and keep this thing rolling as well. And as always, I also need to mention that this episode is available both on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So check those out as well if you're more into audio than video. I don't know if that's the right term for this, but yeah, it's there. We're seeing some nice growth on the CatPick Fridays episodes. Anytime I check Podbean, there's always 20% growth, 30% growth, stuff like that. And I've actually noticed people have been checking out the Master the Basics episode as well, in one of which Rich is actually teaching us some useful stuff as well. So yeah, check those out. And yeah, fun show today, it's morning actually, this morning. We're going to talk about a cool contest that's going on at GearGuts channel first in recent happenings. We'll also talk about maybe having a bit too much gear. I might have been guilty of that lately. Rich wanted to talk about my new Studio Pedalboard. I launched a video this week, and there's a lot of pedals on it. So we'll talk about that. Vlad Files is actually about us two, so we'll share a bit on how we met. And then we'll talk about the guitar that kind of started it all for me, guitar building wise. So we'll talk about my first Tele I ever owned, which kind of resulted me in building my own Tele and kind of started the whole guitar building thing as well. And we'll answer some of your questions and comments, and I'm going to give you a weekend watch recommendation of something that is actually not on YouTube, so I'm breaking the rules I set for myself. And also I need to mention that if you're really interested in one of the segments, there's timestamps in the description as well. I need to figure out how it works on Podbean / Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but I think those are available there as well. So yeah, I think it's time to dive into recent happenings. How do I operate this machine? Like this, I think. I'm a little bit proud of that intro. It looks like a new segment, which is exactly what I wanted to go for. Especially the music. It's the cheapest string quartet I could find on Logic Pro, and it's like a major chord, da, 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 da. Just do that and add a second descending pattern, ba, 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 which is again just some cheap, well, not cheap, they're free if you have Logic Pro, you have those instruments I used to create that. So yeah, just some horns. Sounds like a news segment, which is exactly what we're doing here. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the GearGuts songwriting contest / giveaway. They are nearly at 200k subs, and Trey from GearGuts is basically giving away a bunch of stuff, course stuff, all kinds of little pieces of gear, stuff like that. But I think what's most interesting is the songwriting contests he hosting, and the winner of that songwriting contest will get the REVV 100p Mark III. I think I wrote Mark II, but I think it's Mark III, so it's the one with the built-in 2 notes capture technology, or not capture, the, what's it called? Capture X, actually. Sorry, no, I was correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it has like a stereo out and stuff like that. Really, really cool stuff. And there's still time to enter. I think it will run until they reach 200,000 subs, which might be still a few weeks away. And I think the kind of rules for that contest were that you need to write a song, like a new original song, and you have to submit it. And I think it has to be 4 minutes long max, stuff like that. And Trey has 2 videos out where he goes through these songs that have already been submitted, and I think it's absolutely incredible how few people are able to follow the rules. First of all, the song can't be something you had released like 5 months ago. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. The song can't be over 4 minutes long. That's something people struggle with. The song kind of needs to have something else than just guitar riffs, something that people struggle with. Yeah. There's been some really cool entries as well, but very few songs with actual vocals, which has been kind of funny. Have you been able to check out any of those yet?
Yeah, I watched all the videos. So there's an original video where he talks about reaching 200k, and there's already 2 where he is showing us some of the entries that already came in. And some of them sound really good, and lots of people didn't follow the rules, but it is, as you say, I think I heard 1 or 2 with vocals up to this point, so a lot of them just sort of sound like one riff, followed by another riff, followed by another riff, followed by a breakdown, followed by a really heavy riff, and that's the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, that works, but I think for this competition, and for the quality that Trey holds to himself, you're going to need a bit more to win,
Yeah. I think I now understand why. I think Glenn is hosting like his 3rd or 4th cover contest, oldies but baddies right now, and it's incredible how people are just unable to follow the rules. I think the first time he was doing it, one of the rules was that it needs to be a video. It can't be just audio with a picture in it, and I think he got so many entries with just the audio.
It's funny though, but I remember as well, obviously I work in the same industry, and with a previous company that I worked for, we once did a competition, and we had 2 separate ones running. It was for Easter actually a couple of years ago, and people had to find the Easter egg that we'd hidden on one of our product pages, and they had to share certain information with us. They had to share it on their Facebook and like what we'd done and like our page. So there were 3 or 4 different things that they had to do in order to win. And we had over the 2 brands, over 500 entries in total. And I think, how many people out of those 500 do you think actually fulfilled all the rules? Guess.
I'm going to say 50 at max.
It was less than 50.
What?
It was about 40. So if you actually go and enter a competition like that and make sure that you follow all the rules, your chances of winning are surprisingly high.
Yeah, I'm actually I want to REVV 100p Mark III. I think I need to just write something because
firstly, you can make kick-ass records, but also if you literally go through and say, okay, it needs to be less than 4 minutes, I have this amount of time, I can put vocals on it, then you're instantly going to be in the shortlist.
Yeah, seems so. Apparently, it's kind of, I don't know. It's something that I just keep wondering, how this is happening. What are people what's the people's mindset when they actually enter? One of the first rules is that it needs to be an original song that you just created for this stuff. And yeah, I think someone submitted actually a very decent pop punk song, but it was submitted like 3 hours after the competition was announced. So I don't know. I don't think they made it in 3 hours. They
could have written it live, but no. Are you going to enter?
I don't know. Maybe, though it would be kind of weird since like Trey's a friend of ours and stuff like that, and like entering that competition. I don't know. I'll see. I'll keep the door open. Actually, I just realized like I have a song that technically would be a new song because it's unreleased, but I didn't write it during the contest, so I don't.
I see. There you go. That's one of the rules.
I know. That's where I fail. So, yeah. I don't know. I'll see. I'm not saying no, but I'm not saying yes either right now. So, we'll see. I'm so mysterious. Kind of watching this video and some stuff that happened this week. Basically, I just started cleaning up my closet and decided, hey, I have a bunch of this stuff lying around that I probably don't need anymore or have just never used, and I just put a bunch of things on sale. And it happened. The thing happened where I found stuff in my closet that I didn't remember I had. And that's one of those moments where you definitely go into more like, do you have too much gear when you don't even remember that you had it? And that's how I felt actually this week. Luckily, a lot of the stuff has already gone. I think somebody's going to pick up one of the pedal boards as well on Saturday. So that's good, but I don't know. Do you ever feel you have too much gear?
Well, I guess the question I would ask you is, how much gear is too much gear? And the answer to your question is, yes, I have way too much gear. It's like, I don't know, go back 10 or 20 years or something, and I guess most players had like one amp. They would have 1 or 2 guitars and maybe a handful of pedals pretty much. And these days, we're all crazy, you know? I kind of documented what pedals and gear I have because I've started my own little YouTube channel, and I was like, I'll list everything that I have in an Excel document so I can make a video about it. And when I realized that I had over 50 pedals at the time, I was like, Jesus, what on earth have I been doing? I mean, I've collected these over the last 20 years, you know, so it's not like I'm buying a pedal every week or something, but, you know, 50 of those things? Who needs 50 pedals? The answer is me, but actually I don't, you know.
Yeah.
And there are certain ones which have been sitting in a drawer for quite a long time that I didn't realize that I had. It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
But actually, I don't really sell stuff. That's another of my problems. I hoard things. So...
yeah. Well, for me, it was like easy to decide what to sell because I had like I think I still have at least one wireless unit. Somehow I ended up with like several wireless units, even though I don't even play live. And when I play live, I don't like to use wireless units because there's always a possibility that there will be some sort of interference going on. I'm just fine with the cable. I don't run around stage anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, like I got rid of a lot of that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think to me the limit is like the threshold of having too much gear is the fact that you don't remember having that gear. That's kind of the threshold for me. Because I have this thing where every piece of gear I have, at least in my head, I kind of need for it to have purpose. It needs to have some sort of like goal.
Yeah.
And for example, when we dive into my pedal board next, friends of mine were joking when I showed them the picture, like, hey, do you have enough overdrives on your board? Because I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different drives on the board, but I actually have use for them. So that's why they're there. But yeah, I don't know. For me personally,
it's funny, isn't it? And if you start to think as well about the combined value of all those pedals, you're kind of like, oh God, there is so much money that I have invested into these pedals, some of which just sit in a cupboard and I do nothing with. It's strange. On the other hand, I have to say that, you know, I work in the music industry, so do you. This is our job in a way. So for me to get pedals and to test them with the amps for the companies that I work for, to try different guitars, for me, that is part of my profession. So I'm going to use that as an excuse.
Exactly. I would still call it an excuse, though. Yeah. I had a point. Oh yeah, the My Guitar series has been kind of an eye-opener in the sense like how many years I actually spent like filling that void of not really being that good at guitar or music, or not being good at things I wanted to be good at, which is recording, being able to like track well on the guitar and stuff like that. How many years I spent like filling that void with getting a new gear, blaming the gear for those issues I was having. It's kind of going through the guitars I've had has been an eye-opener in that sense. Kind of depressing, to be honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But how about this for another counterpoint? For me, these days, often I'll see a new piece of gear. It's often an overdrive pedal because I love drive pedals. And I'll say, wow, I really want that. That will inspire me to play. And then I buy it, and then I play only that for the next few months.
Oh,
and in that sense, it's like if the gear inspires you to play more and have a good time, then what more can you ask for?
Yeah.
You know, you might pay maximum a couple of €100 or dollars for an expensive overdrive pedal. If you offset that maybe against going out for a meal a couple of times, going for a night out maybe, all these things that we used to do 18 months ago before the world shut down.
I know.
How much of those can you do compared to buying a nice drive pedal?
Yeah, that's true. Like how much more joy, like in the long run, it actually brings you compared to that one night out. I mean, I'd love to be able to see my friends or like just go out sometimes, especially right now when we're in a situation where our daughter is old enough that she can stay overnight at grandpa's place, for example. So we could actually kind of do that, except there's a little thing called pandemic right now going on. So yeah, I feel you. Like actually, like interestingly enough, again, I'm already advertising our talk about the pedal board, but I didn't get a single new pedal for it. Well, okay, I got the bass preamp, but it's, again, for a need because I didn't have anything bass related before that. But just like arranging them properly inspired me to write the song that I actually released last week. So yeah, even that could help. So I think I'm kind of affirming your point, I think.
Yeah, if there's songs in those guitars or pedals or gear, if they inspire you to create new things, then for me that's priceless.
Yeah,
I accept that I'm in denial about gear, but you know,
yeah, we can always say,
we earn our money and we can spend it how we like.
Yeah, we work in the industry, so we can do whatever we want. The rules don't apply to us.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Want to talk about the pedal board? Yeah. So first of all, do you have any questions about it? Like what, when, why type of things?
Yeah, all of those questions actually. But the first question I would have asked was actually one which you talked about already. Why 6 drive pedals?
Okay, so I'm going to list the drive pedals and describe the function in the board, I guess. This sounds very, very defensive, I guess. Like in the sense, I'm defending my decision to have 6 drives on the board, even though I'm comfortable with my decision. Okay, first of all, there's the KMA Audio Fuzzly Bear, which is a fuzz pedal. That's my only fuzz pedal, and it's one of those fuzz pedals that I think are actually kind of easy to use. By the way, I should mention that if you want to check out the Pedalboard video, links below in the description things, so where I explain a bit more about the whole thing. But yeah, Fuzzly Bear is a fuzz. That's the only fuzz I have on the board, and you want to have fuzz on your board every now and then. It's fun for both bass and guitar sometimes when I'm checking. Then there's a KMA Stroker, which is, it's kind of a treble boost, but I think it's more as of like kind of Swiss Army tone shaping tool because it allows me to cut and boost both treble and bass quite a bit and just boost the signal and select like what range I'm boosting as well. And that thing is great for both, like sometimes you pick up a guitar and it sounds good, but there's like a boomy frequency or something like that. So I kind of use it as an EQ, even though I don't have I could also maybe have like an EQ pedal on the board, but I actually use it as an EQ pedal in that sense. I either cut out something that's kind of bad for the recording, or I sometimes boost as well. So that's why it's there. Then there's the NUX Steel Singer, which is basically like a double sound. It's amazing for low gain, kind of Mayerish type of thing. You can do a bit of rock with it as well, but it's perfect for those hair on your clean sound type of thing. Makes your guitar sound really thick. So I have kind of this is actually, yeah, this is how I actually think about the pedals. I have like different musical segments for them. So the steel thing is like John Mayer, clean, maybe some clean worship stuff. Like that's where it lives, and that's where I use it. Like that's what I use it for. Because the next pedal is the Callan Pure Sky, which is then again like this country rock type of overdrive, or just a really, really good rock overdrive. I think it's probably like a Timmy copy. So is it Paul Cochrane who makes Timmy?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So yeah, I think that probably is a copy of his pedal, though these tone controls work actually the kind of traditional way. I think on the Timmy they are kind of reverse, I think. So
yeah, they're a cut. So
yeah, exactly. So I think the thing is like I bought it for 27 euros of a used market many years ago. It's been great. I think you can still buy it on like wish.com or somewhere, I think. Then there's the KMA Audio Machine slogan. I'm cheating by looking at the pedal board under my feet. And that's the one that I haven't dove into that much yet. But it sounds very different from everything else. There's this, I don't know, it's almost a bit fuzzy, but it's still drive. There's a lot of tone shaping controls. There's like a ability to do a mid boost or mid cut, and you could actually even control it with expression pedal to kind of, if you sweep the mid frequency, you kind of get the fuzz, or not the fuzz, but the wah effect even. Like you could do that with it as well. So that's an interesting one.
Cool.
I decided to put it on the board just to learn it, and there's a strong chance it might become one of my favorite drives ever, because all the sounds I've been getting from it until this point have been amazing. So yeah, that's good. And then the REVV G3 for all the rock and high gain stuff. It's fantastic. I don't know, did it sound like me defending myself for putting 6 drive pedals on the board?
No, I mean, obviously to the uninitiated, they might think 6 is too many. You only need 1, or you only need your amp. But actually, most of those are very different flavors of gain, and will also work well when stacking them together. But you've got the fuzz, which is in its own category. You've got the steel stringer, is it? Or steel singer? The steel singer? No, the steel stringer is the vertex, which it might be paying an homage to. Yeah, so you've got the steel singer and the pure sky. They're both kind of low gain, bit of hair on the signal, so they're quite similar. But yeah, the KMA Logan as well, that's a fairly new one, and I've not played it myself, but I've heard that it is very different as a pedal.
Yep.
The demos that I've seen online all seem very different. It seems kind of unique. And yeah, the REVV G3 for high gain. Yeah, I think I might have forgotten one of the pedals there. Yeah, the treble booster as well. That's also doing something different. So all 6 of those pedals have a different flavor, and I can imagine that when you're writing different genres, you know, you do metal, you've recently branched out into indie, you do different flavors of metal, you do rock, classic rock, heavy stuff, not so heavy stuff. And you've even done worship tones as well. And it's all a little bit different. And that's why I can see that one of those pedals will do the job for each one of those different things. Plus guitars, plus the other effects that you're using, plus the amp, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It's all part of this sonic texture. So it's fine. And I can totally imagine that when I next build my board up again, there'll be 6 or around 6 drive pedals on it, maybe.
Around somewhere between 4 and 20.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Sounds like you have plenty to choose from, so why not? And I was actually having a discussion with friends yesterday. I was spent my afternoon yesterday kind of re-recording a cover I did with is he like a brother-in-law or something like that? I don't remember. No, not a brother-in-law, but like, well, basically one relative. And we did a cover in 2017, I think. And I'm kind of re-recording it to create like a full band version of that cover we did. And basically trying to match Slash's tones on one of the albums he's played on. And it's kind of interesting, like having all of these pedals and drives and stuff like that, and just repeating the process many times. Like anytime I record now, I have a reference track that I kind of figure out how to get guitar sounds of that track. And I was like, when I sent the track to my friends, the first reply was like, hey, you're getting like really good guitar sounds on a consistent basis now. What happened? And my answer is that I practiced. Yeah, I mean, he meant it in a good way, but yeah, there's been times where
Yeah.
my sons haven't been that great. And I said that I've been able to, like, the pedals I've had, a lot of the pedals I've had have been at my place for several years now. And I'm able to, like, when I hear a guitar sound, I kind of know which pedals to go for to replicate or, like, get close to those tones. And, like, even now, I don't have a single, like, a Marshall pedal on my board, yet I'm still able to get fairly close. And surprisingly enough, I actually went for the G3 plus the Caline Pure Sky Overdrive to get slash tones. So
Okay.
I was actually surprised how close I got. So yeah, I need the 6 drives. Trust me, I need them.
Yeah. No, I understand. I feel with you, and I absolutely understand that. I think the other thing I wanted to ask about the board was, you've got what, 1, 2, I think 3. Yeah, the Fuzzly Bear, the Strokur, however you pronounce it, and the Logan. 3 KMA drives, but you've also got a bunch of other KMA stuff. You really love that brand, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a mixture of both them being like good pedals audio-wise, but I just love the graphics. Like building pedal boards and like having like all the pedals proper, like evenly spaced out and everything. Like I like structured things, I guess, and I get this zen feeling looking at the board. Everything's like nice and clean and functional and stuff like that. I think a lot of people can relate to that. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And KMA make great stuff. And Enrico, the guy who owns it and builds the pedals, we both know him, and he's an awesome dude as well. So,
yeah,
more support for small builders like that.
Exactly. And I think also with his pedals, like, none of them are like one-trick ponies. Like, there's always some hidden switches or like weird ways. Like, if you turn these and these knobs to like extreme position, left or right, you suddenly get like completely different kind of sounds. And like, even Fuzzly Bass, like, it's an easy to use fuzz pedal, but there's like cool tricks. Like, if you set up in a certain way, especially there's like a skin/meat control, which basically makes it thinner or thicker, plus like some sort of mid scoop. If you set it up in a certain way, when you do like bends, you get like these overtoners, and it also almost sounds like you have an octave pedal engaged as well, even though it doesn't have like an octave in it. So yeah, they're like, I think they're designed in a way where they're fairly approachable right away, but there's so much to dive into, and I like that. So I feel like even though I've had some of the pedals for a couple of years now, I'm like nowhere close to like figuring every single thing about them that they can do. So that's cool. Like, it's part of the journey, and they've stayed on the board for a reason. Let's put it that way.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think there's a story to share about how we met. We teased that already. Should we jump to that next? In this week's Flat Files, we talk about how Rich and I met. How did we meet?
We met as part of our professional work.
Yes.
Talking about pedals and guitars and stuff, just like we're doing right now on this show. And we first met in the deepest, darkest corner of East Germany, in a small town called Markneukirchen in 2017, I'm going to say.
Yes. I think it August 2017? I want to say it was August.
I think it was either August or September, and the occasion was GitCon, the very first YouTuber Guitar Gear event. And we were in Markneukirchen in East Germany because that is where Warwick and Framus, the bass and guitar company, are located, and they were the host for this event. And I was there with Hughes and Kettner representing the brand, and you were there as a production person, weren't you?
Production person is exactly the term I would use for myself as well.
I think that was the official title on your little badge that you didn't have. Production person.
Yes, probably. Yeah, it was like,
I remember at that stage you weren't a channel, were you, officially? And you went to the event to be a producer.
Yeah, I just had launched my channel like a few months ago before that. I think I launched my channel in April 2017, and I had maybe like 5, 6, 7 videos, maybe 10 videos out by that time. But yeah, I was officially there as part of the production team. So yeah, I was still allowed to shoot few videos. Like they gave us a green light. I think me and Harry and Anagita. Harry was there as well. He got to shoot few videos for his channel as well. Excuse me. And yeah, I do kind of see myself more as a production person there, though. Like we worked insane hours. There was too few of us. I think we had 3 video rooms and 5 people to operate the cameras, which was a bad idea because it usually takes 2 people to set up and also set up the cameras. So kind of, yeah. But I still remember that event kind of fondly. It was a lot of fun. I got to meet so many people who have become friends, you included. And yeah, I guess this could also be the time when I tell, like, you don't know this yet, but like my first impression of you was like, hey, that's the Hughes and Kettner guy. He seems so, what's the word, poised, or like he knows what he's doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like he's kind of cool. And I think it was almost like a bit difficult to approach you at first, but I think then
Really?
you can. You seem to know your stuff, and I had no idea what I was doing, either the production wise or especially like I didn't think of myself as a YouTuber that much yet at that point. I had just started out, so yeah.
Yeah, well, we were all learning at that time, you know. I
Sure.
mean, that was the very first event of its kind where YouTubers came together and brands came together. This happens every year at the NAMM show and at the Music Messe and at other official industry events. But to have all the YouTubers and the brands in one room, and to have this kind of level playing field, and to have this production team as well, and to also have the local people from the facilities where we were, everyone together for 4 or 5 days, you know, from morning till night. And it was super long days every day. It really made this kind of level playing field. And at first I did feel that the brands and the YouTubers were a little bit separate, and I felt that the production people as well also, you guys, you did know what you were doing. You wouldn't have been invited if you didn't know, but you also felt like, oh, here are people from big companies that I know, and here are YouTubers from channels that I watch, and it's like, how do I talk to these people? But ultimately, after about half a day, or at least after the first evening, you know, getting to know each other in the bar or whatever, we all realized that 99% of us are the same kind of people.
Yeah.
You know, we're all a little bit nerdy about gear. We all like talking about music. We all love it. We all play it. We've all been in bands at some point, or at least I think pretty much every one of us has done that. And we're all there doing the same thing, just from different angles of it. You know, the YouTubers were making videos about it. You guys were producing videos for them about it. And I was supplying the gear and talking to YouTubers about that gear. That's how it was. And it was a really good communal feel, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think what probably brought everyone together were the evening jams. So every day, like after setup days when everyone had arrived, I think we had like 5 days of like the official stuff, where we would.
Yeah, it was like a whole week, I think.
Yeah, might be. Yeah, might be, and yeah, basically. The production team would arrive a little bit earlier there, then all the YouTubers and everyone would arrive, and we had maybe 8 hours of video shoots from maybe like 9 to 5, maybe something like that. And after that, we would go to these amazing dinners, which were followed by just jams. There was like a small stage and like a bar type of thing, and we were lucky to have guys like Phil X there, who's fantastic at the jam stuff. He can just go on stage and just have fun. A lot of people join him as well on the stage, and yeah, I think those were the thing. Like those evening things were the ones that brought us together. Like that's where I sat down with a lot of the people, who got to meet them, got to know them, stuff like that. And a lot of those people are still my friends, and I'm happy to see them every single time. So it was an amazing event in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, it opened so many doors for so many people. And I think a lot of the people who went to that first event and who kind of made contacts and made friendships with people and with brands, they're still there doing their thing, you know? They've used that opportunity very well. And I would say you're a good example of that. You know, now you have your own channel, you have a pretty good following, it's growing all the time,
Yeah.
and you have this wildly successful CatPick Fridays show.
It's picking up success-wise, I'd say. But yeah, I have to agree. And like, I think the Master the Basic series is a great example. Like, I met a lot of those people through these events, stuff like that. Obviously, like, meeting people isn't the only thing. You actually need to like work on those relationships and actually be like a decent person to spend time with, I would say. But yeah, that's where it all started. And I kind of look forward to all, like, I was bummed out like there's no NAMM this year, because it would have meant that I would have been able to see a lot of my friends again. And like, I hope there's a NAMM in 2021. Don't know if that's happening yet, but like, I'm not looking that much forward to the trip itself. Flying there is annoying. I don't like planes and and stuff like that. But I so look forward to seeing all of the friends. That's where the I don't know what's the expression in English, but like, that's where the core of that event lies to me. Like, seeing everyone again, like, hey, so good to see you. Is it already like over a year since we last saw, and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it's crazy how many friends that I talked to on a regular basis came out from those events.
Yeah. Especially NAMM is the place where everyone goes, where all the networking takes place.
Yeah.
And yeah, for you YouTubers, it's a whole lot of fun, and you get to build new relationships as well. And it's a lot different when you're working as a brand. It's a whole lot of work, the NAMM show, but I love it. It's one of my highlights of the year every year. And I was also really bummed out that it couldn't happen this time, but it's also a good thing that it didn't happen. I think it wouldn't have been possible. It wouldn't have been right to do it.
Yep.
They're talking about doing a summer NAMM this year in Nashville. I'm wondering if that's going to happen, but if it does, I think it'll be Americans only. But
yeah, it could
anyway,
be on
that
really
might be the first event to happen.
Yeah, it could be on a really small scale as well.
Yeah.
Now, like, the way like vaccinations and stuff are happening in Finland, for example, I could see like having a vaccine like passport or whatever it's called in other languages, but having that and being actually able to go to something like this. But I don't know, we'll see. It still freaks me out to even think about being in like a crowd like the NAMM is. There's so many people, many people. Which is actually a crazy thing of like that we were there in 2020, like just merely a month or month and a half before things started to shut down.
Yeah, I remember we were talking at the NAMM show about this virus that had appeared on the other side of the world. Yeah. And I remember as well that some Asian and Chinese companies, they cancelled NAMM 2020. They didn't think it was safe to come, and we went there and we were still talking about it, but it was 100% a totally normal show.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it feels
there was nothing about it that was different apart from maybe those tiny chats. Yeah. But otherwise, it was totally normal. Yeah,
it's crazy to think of it. Like, it felt normal. Like, well, that was my second NAMM, so I wouldn't know, but it felt like the previous NAMM as well, except that this time I was more prepared and like less tired all the time.
Yeah, well, actually, it was a really good NAMM as well. Yeah. 2020 and 2019 were better than the 2 or 3 before that for some reason. There was a good feeling in the industry, and in terms of YouTube stuff, there were a lot more of the people there who make good videos, and there was a lot more networking going on. Yeah, the last 2 NAMMs were really, really good. And I think the next one, whenever it happens, fingers crossed, 2022, is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it. There's some stuff happening that I can't talk about yet, but like, yeah, I'm excited about NAMM 2022 if that happens, because there might be some brands that might want to have me there. Wow, that sounded really egoistic. I'm showing off here. Yeah, but yeah, actually my one of my dreams is to be able to bring my brother with me as well to the NAMM show, because he's been helping out with the channel a lot, like editing videos, doing like rough cuts and stuff like that, and would be fun to be able to bring him along as well, but we'll see. There's a lot of things in the motion that might prevent me from going there at all, but we'll see. Let's put it that way.
Fingers crossed.
I know.
Yep.
I know. Speaking of things and pandemics, there's something I want to mention in the random positive thing, and then we'll move on to the telecaster that started it all. And yeah, let's jump to the random positive thing first.
Wow, that is amazing. Yay. Wow, so great.
I don't want to go too political or anything like that, but my random positive thing of the week is the fact that my dad, who has this immune system disease and basically he's like at the high risk group, he got his first vaccine shot this week, and I'm so relieved that that's finally happening. I mean, it still takes a week or two or maybe even 3 before it kicks in really, but that's a huge relief. He's not only he's my dad, but he's like a super important character for my daughter as well, like one of her favorite people in the world. And we've had to be like super careful, like seeing him or like even taking her to his place. So yeah, this is some great news. And like in Finland right now, we're actually doing fairly well. I think 25% or like roughly 25% of Finnish population is now vaccinated. So things are moving into the right direction. There's even talks that we might have some summer festivals going on, like late July, maybe August. So I'm super excited about that as well. And this could also mean that, for example, the Finnish guitar event, which happens in February, roughly, like this might also happen next year. So looking good right now. There's like a little bit of sense of this kind of, I don't know, I would describe it as being able to exhale a little bit. We've been sitting like this tightly for a year, and now you can do a little bit of like stuff is a little bit moving into the right direction. We've talked about this. It's not exactly the same in Germany, I guess, right now, or like worse maybe than
No. Overall, what did you say? 25% in Finland.
Yeah, I think
in Germany it's a bit slower. Things are rolling out. It's slow and steady, and it's taking its time, but they really want to make sure that they do things right. And it's always a case of the European Union as a whole making decisions and sharing things out between the countries, which of course in some ways is a great thing and in some ways makes it slower. You know, my home country, the UK, they're way ahead in terms of the vaccine. They've given out, I think, over 35 million already. So over half of the population in England has been done. So my parents, for example, got their first doses of the vaccine a few weeks ago. They'll have their second one, I think, in early May. And yeah, the UK being out of the European Union now, that's something that they've been able to do faster.
Yeah.
So that's one advantage of Brexit, I guess, without getting too political. Don't want to get into that anymore.
True.
Maybe we should do a Brexit musicians episode in the future, because that would actually be quite interesting.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, absolutely.
But about the vaccine stuff, though, I'm just waiting, and I'm in probably the last group of healthy adults in Germany who will be offered it, and it could be July, August, maybe September. I don't know.
Yeah, actually,
I'm just patiently waiting here with my hundreds of effects pedals and gear in my room and making some videos. And once it's time to come out, I will do that. But I'm taking care to follow all the rules as well.
Yeah,
I'm kind of a stickler for rules.
Yeah, actually, like I really like the Brexit episode idea. I already know 2 guests that I think we should invite, even maybe 3. One from a company, one from a big band, someone we know, and someone we hung out with a couple of years ago in the summer. We probably should invite him, and maybe like one of the YouTubers as well. I think from all of those people I've heard, like it's been weird, challenging. Yeah,
I mean
that's a good episode.
It's certainly been big changes.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot some emails/Facebook messages after the show to make it happen. That sounds a really good idea. I'm interested to hear how it's been going for them right now. So yeah. But yeah, that's the random positive thing. Let's talk about guitars next. Let's talk about my guitars again, because this section is called My Guitars. I'm so funny today. The guitar that kind of started the whole guitar building thing was a Squier Classic Vibe Telecaster, and I don't know if you know more about the Classic Vibe series, but at the time when I was buying it, it was like the upscale or like higher grade Squire that was like actually well spec'd. They had some more special pickups in them as well. Like it was a good guitar. It was like a custom version of the Telecaster. I think I should have a photo available as well. So it had like a binding going on, and it like slightly sharp edges and stuff like that. And that was the guitar that got me into Telecasters. Or well, technically, actually, I used to hate Telecasters. Not hate them in the sense that I actively hated them, but don't raise your hand like that. I know it's madness.
It's a natural reaction if someone says they hate Telecasters.
No, like
I become Italian straight away. Hey.
Hey.
Sorry, Italians, if you're watching this.
Yes, exactly. But I didn't actively hate Telecasters, but there was just something about them. I thought they looked ugly. And I didn't have like any guitar idols that played Teles. I think that had played part into it as well. I had never played one, like properly played one. I didn't understand why, like what they are for, because I wasn't into indie like I'm now, obviously, stuff like that. So, yeah, I just really didn't care for the looks, and somehow maybe I associated them with just country music or something like that. Until I met a friend. We're still friends, that is, and like he kind of introduced me to just Telecasters in general. He had this cool rehearsal space. He had a bunch of cool vintage amps there as well. And there's this, I might actually have that clip. I'll insert it into the show now after I introduce the clip. I was at his rehearsals space. He had a Marshall full stack, so 2 4x12s and like a JM, maybe like an old JMP, and he had this ESP Telecaster from, I think they made those in the 90s, which are fantastic instruments. And I think I have a clip of him playing that stack, and that's what turned me into Telecaster fan. And I think I should have the clip. If I do, here's the clip now. Rich will see this clip afterwards when the show actually airs. But yeah, that thing was amazing sounding, and it made me realize how amazing Telecasters actually were. Like they were like proper rock machines instead of just country instruments. And that kind of made me search for, I think like somehow I ended up searching for guitar building courses in my area. And when I saw that, hey, like the recommendation for the course was that it's recommended that you first build a Telecaster or maybe a Stratocaster, because they're bolt-on necks and stuff like that. They're easier to build. And that was like, yeah, I need to build a Telecaster. At that point, I had the classic Vibe Tele. I think I bought it like a few weeks after that rock and roll experience with the ESP Tele. Just went to the local shop and like, I need a Telecaster. Do you have any of those like for this and this budget? They were like, yeah, there's few. Pick one, and I think I just walked out with one of those right away, and that kind of affirmed that yes, I do need a Telecaster in my life. And then I just wanted to build my own to kind of, because I pretty quickly figured out that like few of the specs that I wanted to have weren't available in like Fenders and stuff, like jumbo frets and like compound radius and stuff like that, and maybe even like slightly asymmetrical neck. Those weren't available, so. Yeah, I started building my Tele, which actually took 2 years to complete. But that's how it all started. I'm a huge Tele fan now. And if I would have to, like, you know, the desert island guitar thing, I would take my white Tele. It gives me the most tones I love out of all of the guitars I have. And I have pretty good guitars, dare I say. What's your relationship
do.
with? Yeah. What's your relationship
Yeah,
with
I would
Teles?
say my Desert Island guitar is also my Tele, my blue 2014. It's a Fender Special run in ocean blue candy, the beautiful satin bright blue. You can see it on my channel.
Yeah.
Maybe I can give you a pic or something blank
Yeah,
that you
sure.
can post up here so the guys can see it. And I've always loved Teles for some reason. I think it's also partly because of the kinds of music that I enjoy too. I really like old school, let's call it 60s rock and roll, 60s pop. My parents always were playing records like the Beatles, other 60s rock and roll, psychedelic stuff, that kind of thing. So I knew that telecasters were suitable for that. And the alternative rock scene in the UK when I was growing up in the early 2000s, maybe even the late 90s when I was a kid, there was a lot of telecaster usage then. And there were bands like Jet Plane Landing and Fighting with Wire, who none of you or your listeners will know, but they were bands who were playing the local toilet circuit, as we call it, the small bars, the small clubs, and loads of those dudes were rocking Teles. And of course, you don't think that a Telecaster is going to be suitable for playing heavy stuff. You associate it, or a lot of players associate it with Nashville, with country, with clean things, with some old school rockabilly and rock and roll. And it can do all of that, but it can snarl like a beast as well.
Yeah.
The bridge pickup on a Tele is just perfect for rock. It's so cutting, it's so bitey, it sits in a mix perfectly, and it's way more comfortable to my ears than a Strat bridge pickup, for example.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've
definitely.
always been a massive fan for that reason. I find that they're super simple. You've got two pickups, you can't really do that much wrong with them. I like a rosewood board, and I looked for years to get a blue one because I like blue with a rosewood board, and that's why I've got the one that I've got. I put a wide range humbucker in the neck of mine, but it's got a coil split, so I have the single coil sounds as well.
Oh,
but
I
I
didn't
left
know that.
I left the Fender standard bridge single coil in there, and it's fantastic.
Nice.
My Desert Island guitar.
Nice. See, I didn't know this, but it sounds like we almost planned this We Love Telecasters episode. Yeah. I mean, I've seen yours on many videos, and it sounds good. It sounds really good, and
They're so versatile.
Yeah.
You know, that they have a rep, and I mean, you would probably not use a Tele to play super chuggy stuff. You'd go to a humbucker for that probably, but you can do it. You know, I've used mine with the Rev G3, and they go super tight. They're not as fat as some others, and you get more noise, of course, because they're single coils. But yeah, you can basically do everything with a Tele.
You can do, like, I think the only thing that it doesn't, like, or like it would be a very distinct sound, like if you want to do like palm muted, like some sort of chuggy riff thing, there's too much quack going on, so to speak. Like there's this nasal character which is great for most of the stuff besides maybe like heaviest metal, except I kind of think like if you would put like thick strings on it and you want to do like maybe even like a genty stuff, if you can like manage the noise somehow, like that comes from the single coils, that thing would cut through so well as well. There's probably someone who's playing like a Tele with a like single coil bridge pickup that does exactly that, because it just cuts through so well. And yeah, as I mentioned, there's just super versatile, and that's one of the things that like make me love the instrument so much. Like obviously I've also played it for so many years now that no matter what kind of situation I go to, like I immediately know, okay, I need to do this and this, engage this pedal, and I will get this sound, and it will work perfectly for this type of situation. So yeah, gotta love Teles.
I also find, me too, the simple construction as well. You know, the bolt-on neck, it's very easy. You're not going to break that guitar. They're not as fragile as set-in necks or anything, because they're a nice 6-in-line tuning system. It stays in tune. Mine holds tune really, really well. I've not upgraded any of the hardware or anything like that. And again, because it's a bolt-on, it's super flexible. I remember when I moved from the UK to Germany the last time, I didn't want to ship any guitars, and I only brought the Tele with me, but I took the neck off and I put it in my rucksack and literally took it on the plane with me. So I had to answer a few weird questions at the airport, but you know, you just take the neck off, get to your new place in your new country, bolt it back together, and you're good to go. And it was perfect, just like it was before.
Yeah. Does yours, by the way, what kind of bridge you have on it? Is it like a 6-saddle one or like the old school one?
That is one thing I changed. I tell a lie. That is a very good point. Mine originally came with a Fender Mexican Standard 6 saddle bridge, and I changed it for one of my very favorite bridges, which is a Wilkinson 3 brass saddle one. So you've got 2 strings sit in each saddle, and they're zinc, the gold colored saddles, and people say that that's the only way to get that best Telecaster twang. I don't do a whole lot of twanging these days, but I just really like that bridge, and I find it physically very comfortable to rest my hand on as well.
Yeah.
Because I often rest my hand on the bridge, especially for palm muting, of course, you've got to do it, and that just works for me. And I had a lot of good experiences with that bridge because I used to work for vintage guitars, and it's on a whole bunch of them, and I decided just to get a good Wilkinson one for the Fender as well.
Yeah, I'm assuming yours intonates well. Like some people have intonation issues with those 3 saddle bridges, but yours seem to be
it's a Wilkinson, so it's...
Yeah.
No, the Wilkinson one has little, I don't know what you call them, grub screws or whatever, so each string is intonatable.
I see.
He's a clever man, that Trev Wilkinson.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very good bridge, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, when I was building mine, I immediately wanted to go for the 6 saddle one just because I want to have the individual height and intonation adjustment. I have fairly sensitive ears when it comes to tuning, and I kind of could actually say I played the wrong instrument because guitar is always out of tune, but the 6 saddle bridge allows me to get it in tune enough and intonate well enough that it doesn't annoy me all the time. And yeah, it just makes my life easier. That's why I actually kind of struggle with my 335 a little bit because it has the tunematic bridge, and besides some of the construction issues I have with it, I built it myself, and there's few things here and there it intonates fine, but then again I've learned to love it. That kind of Les Paul sound is kind of slightly out of tune, I'd like to think. So I've grown to accept it and actually kind of like it now. Yeah,
but if you just want a versatile, no frills thing that's just going to stick in tune and perform well for everything, get a Tele.
Yeah, exactly. I think we want to answer some of your questions and comments next. Questions and comments. Ran asks, "Hey man, I have my expensive headphones on and your intro is extremely loud. You've almost destroyed my headphones, not even to talk about my eardrums." I don't even know what to say to this, to be honest. You can't blame me. I think to me it sounds like he or she wanted to tell us that that person has expensive headphones. That's my take on it.
Do you reckon that's why that comment is there?
The only thing that's missing is that person dropping in the brand of headphones they have. That's not how the audio works. My intro, if it was extremely loud, it means your headphones were extremely loud. That's how audio works.
Yeah, because your intro also fades in, right? It's not just an instant kind of boom sort of wall of sound. Especially if you're talking about CatPick Fridays. So it's you would notice if it was getting too loud and then, ride the fader and make it a little bit quieter.
Yeah, I think this video this was the Boston X Stone stage video. So this is couple of years old, at least, even more, I think. And I had the old one, the da 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 type of intros. It does actually kick in quite loudly, but check your levels, man. It's not my fault, it's yours. And I don't know, this might be just a joking comment. That person did not reply, and just my only reply was hey, thanks for the laughs. It made me laugh.
He might be deaf now, or she.
Oh, it's true.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. That's why they're not
check your levels. Yeah.
Yeah, check your levels.
Tinnitus is no joke. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Next question. Thomas Zotak. Sorry, butchering your name. Hiya, can you tell me how this one compares to with the new Fender Micro? And this was on the new X-Mighty Plug modeler headphone and video. have you seen Fender released the headphone amp thingy, like this small plug, which kind of looks like a wireless unit? Just plug it into your guitar and good to go.
I've seen a couple of videos for it. It looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, like the new X1.
Have you played it?
The Fender one? No.
Yeah.
I've just had the new X1 and like made a video about it as well. I did a bit of research. They're a bit different. Like the Fender one Fender one doesn't have any kind of phone app. You can connect to it via Bluetooth, so you can stream like your music through it. So you can like play a jam track from your phone into that device, and then you can jam along. But with the new X1, you basically have like a whole app on the phone. You can choose different amp models there, add effects. There's some jam tracks in the app itself as well, and I think there's some other stuff that I'm forgetting right now. And you can also obviously like connect to it via Bluetooth to play jam tracks as well. I do actually kind of like the Fender approach where the controls are physically on the device as well. And
yeah, that's cool. I just find the whole concept of those things really, really useful. Remember a few years ago, if you wanted to go on holiday or if you did a business trip or something, you could take a travel guitar with you, but taking an amplifier was never really doable. And now you've got so many digital options. You know, you can connect to your phone or your iPad, and these things, the new X and the Fender, and there are some other brands I think who do these little headphone amps. I remember some Vox ones from a couple of years ago. Yeah, they're so practical.
Yeah, and like they're not breaking the bank. I think both are under €100. I think.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like roughly in that price range at least, and yeah, good things. Like both, like purely guitar sound wise, both sound equally good or bad. I'd say at least the high gear sounds like on both, based on all the demos I've seen about the Fender, like they're pretty buzzy, but they actually like when you jam, they're just fine. Like I still had a lot of fun with the Mighty Plug, for example, just jamming to backing tracks because I was doing with it. So it's not really an issue. Like sounds are good enough.
No.
And both of them seem to have a bunch of effects as well. With the new X1, you can actually use it with bass as well. There's like at least 2 different bass amps, which is really cool. And I remember doing that as well. So yeah, we live in a golden age of guitar gear, or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. They're so much better than just playing with a guitar unplugged, you know?
Yeah.
And they're not any bigger. And like you say, you would not use these little amps to record your next record or something.
No.
But in order to get inspired and play a bit and to make use of effects, if you like that too, they're absolutely perfect. I think I might need to get one.
Yeah, you should, because it's a perfect tool to practice or jam to backing tracks without like disturbing anyone. And yeah, cool things. Next question. REVV Hooray. Sorry, again butchering people's names. Commenting on the Zoom 505 Mark II demo, which was my first pedal. I actually have one here as well. My first pedal too. Some of sounds are good. Thanks for your demo. Yeah, like I was actually surprised when I got it. Like I sold the original one I had maybe 15 years ago or so already, and I reacquired one a few years ago, and some of the sounds are actually surprisingly good. Like for 20, no wait, I think it might have come out in 98, so almost 25 years ago. Like for a model from that time, it's actually very decent.
Yeah, it was you, wasn't it, who made a video where you just went through all the sounds on it, right?
Yeah.
Is that you?
I think so.
Yeah, I watched that video. It's pretty good. Some of the sounds are great.
Yeah.
And, obviously with modelers like that, when you go through presets, they're always way too much. Yeah. Because the companies want to showcase, just how much flange is in the unit. So when you have the flanger preset, it's like flange city. And obviously for making your own sounds, you dial it way back. The same with the distortions, the same with the modulations, the delays, reverbs, whatever. But there are lots of usable sounds in them. Yeah,
and I mean, like user interface wise, we've come a long way, because on this pedal it's like there's like one rotating switch where you go through different sounds, and there's like 2-digit display that you use to control everything, which makes it a kind of a really poor user experience. And it takes a lot of time to dial in the sound. I need to remember, like, because I think you could add like you could have like distortion and flanger and delay all on at the same time and save it as a preset. But like adjusting that takes so much time on that unit. So we've come a long way in that sense. But weirdly enough, like sound wise, it wasn't that bad. And like I think Ola has done a few demos where he took the Pod 2 and just disabled the impulse response on that and played it through like a proper impulse response. And it didn't sound that much different from something that it could get like on a Helix Stomp or something like that. Obviously the user interface is very different again. But as Pete Thorne says, cabinet is 50% of the sound at least. So.
Yeah, exactly. And consider hearing it in a full band mix and it makes for a hard blind test, that's for sure.
Exactly. Moving on to the next one, which is, there you go. MKB on the Blue Guitar Iridium versus Mercury edition. Great video, thank you. Have you tried the Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit and how do you think they compare? Have one, and I'm not super happy with the Lead Ultra channel. They just sound and feel way too compressed. The clean/grunge channels are killer, but just can't quite get into the classic metal/grunge territory. I'm looking for considering replacing with Mercury. I kind of wanted to throw this your way, even though some people could say you're biased. Because once you're...
Yeah, I guess. Full disclaimer, I used to work for Hughes & Kettner, now I work for Blue Guitar. So...
Yes.
Yeah, just so you know that in advance. Let me just read through the question again. Yeah, not happy with the Lead Ultra channels. That was always my issue with the Black Spirit 200 and also with the Grandmeister by Hughes & Kettner. They're amazing amps. Overall, they have so many different sounds. They have amazing MIDI saving capabilities for presets.
Yep.
So much control. And the cleans and crunches are great. On the Black Spirit, I actually prefer the cleans and crunches to the Grandmeister. But yeah, if you're doing anything more high gain, I would not do it. I use the lead channel on the Black Spirit 200, but never the Ultra. I found it to be just way too much in terms of gain, way too bassy, way too thumpy, and it just didn't work. And in contrast, the Blue Guitar stuff, disclaimer, I work for Blue Guitar. The Blue Guitar stuff sounds way better for all the high gain. So there's two different Blue Guitar amps as well. There's the Mercury, which is more sort of classically voiced, and that will do classic metal and grunge. But for more high gain stuff, the Iridium is the newer one, and that absolutely kills pretty much everything out there in terms of modern and classic metal sounds. And there's lots of A/B tests on the Blue Guitar YouTube channel that you can look at, where you'll hear Thomas and others, doing a JCM 800 or a Mesa dual rectifier against the Iridium, and you can just see how it matches up, and it's super easy to dial in. And otherwise, it's kind of similar to the Black Spirit in the way that you've got 4 channels and different sounds, and you've got a built-in reverb. You don't need to have a speaker connected. You can go straight to headphones. They're both really, really good amps, but again, disclaimer, I work for Blue Guitar. I would pick the Blue Guitar of the two, no question. I should say that in my personal life, I'm currently considering a new amp, and I'm probably going to get a REVV. So there you go.
Wow.
I still have a Black Spirit 200 at home. I'm still actually using it in most of the demos that I've put onto YouTube. I also have all the Blue Guitar stuff here. I have a couple of other things here, but I'm looking for something that can do my sound justice for everything that I like to do and be a bit sort of more kind of sitting there looking like a normal amp in some of my videos. And for me, that's probably going to be a REVV, a D20 or a G20. Don't know yet, but that's where I go with that. But yeah, MKB should replace the Black Spirit with the Mercury or the Iridium, depending on their high gain needs, and they will be very happy with it.
Yeah. Gotta say, yes, I've also been associated with Hughes & Kettner and Blue Guitar as of late as well. Yeah. I also struggled with the Lead and Ultra channel both. I've actually had the Grandmaster 40 here as well. Amazing crunch and clean tones, freaking amazing. But the same thing with the Lead channels, a bit too much. I always like to dial my high gain, rock and high gain tones, where it's a little bit difficult, where I still retain the dynamics, because then I can kind of alter the sound with my playing. Like, I don't want it to be too compressed, because then, like, when it feels kind of unresponsive in a way to play, it's not fun anymore. And I feel I struggled a bit with that on the Black Spirit amp as well. I think actually, like, when I did the track, you can hear in a lot of my videos the kind of 80s shred thing. I think I actually ended up using the crunch channel boosted for rhythm tones, because I felt it was a bit too mushy on the lead channels, even with the gain dialed back. And with the crunch channel boosted, it was like spot on. So yeah, like, if you actually, like, MKB, if you have like some drive pedals, that's something you could try. You could like take the crunch channel, maybe use the internal boost, or boost it with a drive. That could do the job. But if you are one of those people who wants to get all the tones from the amp, then maybe try blue guitar or even a rev. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree. My tip for the Black Spirit 200 would be stick a tube screamer in front of it.
Yeah.
That will tighten up the metal sounds a lot. But yeah, don't use the ultra channel, use the lead if you can. And if you can find the voice that you like there, then that's a good option. But the Iridium does not need that. It's tight enough and crushing enough on its own.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone knows what the Rev can do. One of my favorite, possibly my favorite high gain sound is the clean channel on the Black Spirit 200 with the Rev G3. And that's why I'm edging towards a Rev amp. You know,
yeah,
it does.
It makes a lot of
what
sense.
I love. Yeah.
Yep. All of my high gain sounds are the Rev G3 into the Rev D20. And this is in no way sponsored by Rev. I've bought both of those things with my own money. So I have no reason to praise them other than that I genuinely like them, and there's a reason why they are in my studio all the time. And I like get most, like, the things I use the most here is the D20 and the G3 pedal for a good reason.
Yeah.
So that's actually also an option to explore. Like, so many good options. Moving on to the last question before I start rambling about golden age of guitars again. So, yeah, the 5-chord. When you did the blind test, I was firmly in the Iridium camp and not really what I wanted it to be. And he's not talking about the blue guitar Iridium, but this is the Strymon Iridium versus Line 6 HX Stomp comparison. And yeah, in that video, I do a small blind test. Like, I think I dialed in there's like a Marshall amp on the Iridium, Strymon Iridium again, not the blue guitar Iridium, and the HX Stomp. I think I dialed in pretty much the same amp, and I used the same IR for both as well. And I think he wanted HX Stomp to sound better on that blind comparison, but because it was a blind comparison, I actually leaned toward the Iridium one. So yeah, that's why you do blind tests. It reveals your biases, which I'm like definitely guilty of. Like, it was fun to do those. Actually, like, when I was shooting that video, I did a blind test myself, like compared those. I think I like mixed them up somehow and compared, and I think I ended up liking something. I think I ended up liking HX Stomp on one of those tracks at least. So even though I was kind of leaning towards Iridium because it sounded better, I'm putting that in quotes.
Yeah, I mean, we totally hear with our eyes as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why blind tests are such popular YouTube videos, you know? There are channels like Anderton's where they get hundreds of thousands of hits on all those videos, and it's always an eye-opener to be blind in that sense, because
yep, true.
You always lose those prejudices that you had before. You totally are not thinking about what something costs or what the brand image is, that kind of thing. And it's awesome. And you've got to be brave to do a blind test as well, because you can make yourself look dumb, you know.
Yeah, there's been blind tests that are kind of have almost like made me angry, because they revealed my like biases, like deep biases I have towards some pieces of gear. I think it's normal to like some brands more than others, but like it's also like sometimes I've almost like felt angry because some of the blind tests are like I didn't lean towards the product I wanted to lean towards too, and yeah, gotta do more of those I think in the future because I think they're super revealing and just fun. But yeah, I can also like I appreciate this commenter's honesty about it. Like he or she didn't expect to get the results they got, and I think that's always really interesting. So thank you. And as the last thing of the show, let's dive into the weekend watch. And I got something different there nowadays. This time, that's the word I'm looking for. I think I need my third cup of coffee today. Yeah, weekend watch next.
Watch it. Video.
It's not like you have anything else to do. This week's weekend watch isn't a video on YouTube because I found a new show that I actually like. On Disney Plus called Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm not a huge Marvel fan in general. I'd say I think a lot of the movies they've put out over the past 10 plus years are fun, entertaining. I especially love the first Iron Man movie. Maybe a few of those that were in between. Not a huge fan of the Avengers movies. They're fine. But this series has surprised me. There's actually interesting characters that on paper don't look like interesting characters. I think they spend the whole first episode just kind of developing the relationship between the Falcon guy and the Winter Soldier, and they're actually interesting people. Like they managed to establish them as interesting people, which surprised me. I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. Might be good, might not be. And I think I'm 4 episodes in. I think the 5th one probably airs today. So they release one each week, which by the way is also a really good thing. And yeah, if you got Disney Plus, check it out. I think in Finland at least it's like $6 a month right now. So it's cheaper than anything else out there. And I have been actually surprised how good it has been so far. I'm assuming you haven't checked it out yet, or
no.
Have you checked?
I was just letting you talk because no, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a trailer for it. I've never really been into the superhero movies that much, the Avengers, X-Men, that kind of thing. I never really got it, so I'm just gonna say, watch what Vlad wants you to watch this weekend.
Yeah,
and I probably won't bother, but maybe I'll watch some trailers and see.
Yeah. I'm assuming you haven't.
Generally, I think I prefer more realistic sort of films. I sadly, it's going to sound super pretentious, but I've watched a lot of European art house cinema over the years, and I studied it as part of my university degree.
Sure.
So I like these boring French films where people sit in cafes and nothing happens, and then it's the end.
I mean,
so yeah, it's kind of the absolute opposite of the Avengers.
Yeah,
and Thanos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've watched most of the Avengers movies, but there's been only maybe 1 or 2 that I wanted to watch again. Let's put it that way. There's been only few. Most of them are I don't know. They're very safe. Let's put it that way. This doesn't feel like that. They're I think the overall premise is very interesting. To catch you up on what happened in the Avengers movies, basically half of the universe's population was wiped down for I think 5 years, and this thing picks up a year or 2 after those people were brought back, and what happens when for 5 years half of the population is gone, and then you suddenly bring them all back and try to kind of start living again. People actually obviously had moved on over the past 5 years, and then suddenly all of their families and stuff were brought back. The premise is surprisingly deep and interesting. Actually, that's what surprised me, because I don't feel those emotions were weighed over the Avengers movies. They were really oh by the way, did you remember that we had this amazing Captain, or what's her name? Not Captain America, but the other one that's even more powerful. The Superman version, but she's a woman. What's her name? Not Wonder Woman. That's a different comic brand. I don't remember. Oh, Captain Marvel. Yes, she's like, she can fly in space and like basically could have beaten the whole Thanos thing by herself, but they just bring her at the last minute in the movie. Oh, by the way, she's back now, and suddenly we were winning the whole thing. And like, I hate that. It's lazy writing, but this one, pretty impressed so far. That was a long rant about a movie series. I don't really have, like, I'm not passionate about it either way. Like, I don't actively dislike it or actively like it. But the series that I'm recommending is actually good. Take a look at the trailer. If you have a Disney Plus subscription, check it out. And if you don't have, I'd say you probably should give it a try just because of this series, but mostly because of The Mandalorian, especially the season 2 is killer. So yeah, check those out. And I think that wraps up CatPick Fridays episode number 11. I still can't believe we are 11 episodes in. Thank you, Rich, for joining. Did you have fun doing this?
Thanks for having me back for my second interview. I had a good time. I hope I performed to the required level. And will I ever return for a third episode? Only you can decide.
Yes.
And by you, I mean the viewers and Vlad.
Exactly.
Please comment if you hate me or if you like me. And Vlad will choose whether to have me back again in future based on that.
That has to be the first time I hear anyone saying, like, at the end of the video, please comment if you hate me.
All comments are going to help the video in the algorithm, right?
That's true. So whether you like Rich or hate him, please comment down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Again, links below in the description for a bunch of the stuff we mentioned here. And also, if you enjoy the show but you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Links to Rich's channel in the description as well. And yeah, have a great weekend. Or if you're listening to this on Monday, have a great week. Something like that. Thank you so much for watching. I shall see you next time.